Welcome to Donna and Friends. In our next segment, we'll take a look at what happened last month at January's legislative luncheon. We talked about taxes, different subjects, but exciting for me was scoring an interview with our state representative, Lee Denny. Let's check it out. Good afternoon, Lee Denny, state representative.
Well, it's great to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Listen, we've caught you after the first legislative luncheon here in Cushing. Big turnout.
Oh, I'm very excited about the people that are here. This makes you really feel like what you're doing as far as representing the people is worthwhile when they're interested in what you're doing.
Well, Lee, I know session is getting ready to fire up. There's a lot of things in the Capitol this year. What are you concentrating on specifically?
You know, I'm concentrating on public education, working on trying to find a funding source to pay our teachers. They're hardworking, they're in the trenches, they deserve a raise, and actually working on restoring education funding to the 2008 levels. We've never been able to do that, and I think it's time.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. Education is really the forerunner of this state in order to keep up with the ever-changing things that we have here in the state and throughout our nation, actually. Lee, I'm going to step off just a little bit of something that is not really your cup of tea, but it's a big question. I know it's going to come up in session a lot this year, and that is the bill up 2116. That is the bill for legalization of marijuana. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'm actually against the legalization of marijuana at this time. I think that Oklahomans aren't ready for something like that. I do think it's something we're going to have to address after the Supreme Court decision that the federal government is not going to prosecute states that have legalized marijuana. You know, Oklahoma is never at the forefront of stepping off and doing things that are real outlandish that have been illegal before. So I think I'm sure willing to listen to people that are interested in it, but this time I'm against legalization of marijuana.
All right. Well, I know that's going to come up in the Capitol this year. And, you know, I knew that probably wouldn't be something that you had a concentration on, yet we're going to see that a lot this year. And with Colorado making it available and the taxation of it, I just really had wondered what your thoughts were on that. Do you think it will get anywhere this year, or it'll have to go probably several years?
It'll take several years. I actually don't think it will get anywhere this year. It's an election year, and these things are very controversial. Like I said, I believe, isn't that a Senate bill?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's going to start on the Senate side. I actually don't believe that'll see the light of day in the House due to the fact I don't think it'll get through the Senate.
That's my thoughts on it as well, that I think it's going to take Oklahoma a little bit longer. Lee, before we let you go, anything else that you would like the people here in District 33 to be aware of where you're concerned with your part in the Capitol?
You know, I want people to realize what we're doing at the Capitol is very important. It impacts their lives, and I certainly would like to hear from the constituents as the measures go through the House. Usually the most outlandish ideas are the ones that the press picks up and goes on, and those things usually don't see the light of day. But how we're going to fund salary increases for our state employees and our teachers, how are we going to handle water in the state of Oklahoma? It's one of our most precious resources. How we're going to handle our Department of Corrections and the overcrowding that goes on that, how we're going to continue to increase our infrastructure as far as transportation. Those are the really big issues that we have, and to me, the most important issues.
Well, I know that you're in high demand, Lee Denny, state representative, so I'm going to let you go because I know you got a lot to do. Thanks for stopping and visiting with us today.
Thank you so much, and you all have a great day.
All right. Happy Friday to you. So, Jim Halligan saw Lee Denny being interviewed, and he got jealous. So let's check out what he's got to say. Well, Senator Halligan, we meet again. Cushing started up their city legislative luncheons, and of course you would be here.
Well, wasn't it wonderful, the crowd we had? I think it's spectacular. Ann and I always try to come to these events. They are very important on our calendar. And it's good to see the citizen participation. That's what's important. People have the opportunity to ask you the questions, and they may come up later. Rather, they don't want to do it in front of everybody. That's just fine. But they have a chance to put in their 2 cents, and we got some good input today.
Well, and I noted you just gave out a card to someone for them to email you and to get their concerns to you as a senator, and I just think that's great.
Well, it's the second one I've given out. In fact, no, there was a lady.
I missed one.
She's in the real estate business, and she has a concern in the real estate area. And when I said, well, what I'll probably do is send it to the insurance commissioner, but the insurance commissioner normally answers my emails promptly, and I appreciate him for doing that, so I can make certain that it gets appropriate attention. And if there is a legislative need, we can still see if we can somehow address it during this session. And then, of course, something about the railroad. For some time, we've been trying to make certain that Cushing had adequate railroad access, a spur, etc. And so we need to make certain if there is a sale of this line between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, that the needs of Cushing are taken into account. But I was dismayed to hear that the bids have to be in today. So both Representative Denny and I were apprised of this, and so we'll have to do what we can to try to influence events.
Well, we appreciate that. We hate it when the due date comes too quickly and you're a little bit unaware, but I bet that happens to you a lot up there in the Capitol. Things just kind of spring up sometimes that you're not quite ready for. Senator Halligan, of all the things you'll be concentrating on this year in session, what will be your number one goal?
Funding for public schools, period.
Excellent.
Public schools. We need to get additional funds into our public schools. We have wonderful teachers. We need to give them a raise. We need, in so many ways, we need to support our public schools. And so that is number one for me. And so that means if we have a shortfall in revenues, we have to find some place to get additional revenues. And I am proposing that we change the tax that we give to oil companies relative to their horizontal drilling tax credit.
Well, I'm sitting here shaking my head. I'm kind of in agreement with you on that. Now, I want to step off of that for just a little bit, and I want to talk about something, and I'll tell you ahead of time, I did speak with Representative Lee Denny about this too, but something that is before the Senate right now, and she gave me her opinion of it, and that is the legalization of marijuana, this Bill 2116.
I'm opposed to it. I have visited with two physicians, but let me be straightforward with you. I think there's, just as there was a national movement for gay marriage in the United States, all right, I think there's a national movement occurring. I have a son who lives in Colorado, so that would obviously, so I think there is a national movement for the legalization of marijuana, but as far as I'm concerned, I am not ready to vote for it, but I realize that when I talk with my grandchildren, all of my grandchildren are for it. I happen to be against it.
Do you think that's just more of a generational thing with us? Or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because I know it won't probably see daylight this year in session, will it?
I doubt if it sees daylight, but my grandchildren say, Papa, everybody uses it. Why pay the people from Mexico? Why don't we grow it here and tax it?
Well, and it appears that Colorado is bringing up quite a bit of revenue through the legalization of it and the taxing of it. So I can see where your grandchildren have somewhat of a good argument.
I still think it's a gateway drug. I have visited with the Drug Enforcement Agency here in Oklahoma. Actually went with them one time and saw some marijuana. I am such a newbie. I didn't know about the THC content of marijuana and so on. So I went morning, significant visit, and they convinced me that it was still a gateway drug, that people who start this, a goodly number of them move on to meth, cocaine, and other things, and so I don't think we should legalize it.
How do you feel about the people that want to see the medical marijuana to help patients that could be in need of that? Do you have a thought on that?
I visited with two physicians about this, and they think they have a sufficient, both of these individuals, think they have a sufficient arsenal of pain medications at this time that they don't need it. And their concern was when you inhale marijuana smoke, you just don't inhale THC, you inhale other things, and that'll have a deleterious impact on the lungs.
What I wonder would these physicians say to address maybe something in the THC in the form of a lollipop? I mean, you hear about that, different foods to help cancer patients, people that have a severe nausea.
Right. I don't think there's any doubt that as time goes on, we're going to modify our position relative to this. But at this point, I am not ready to vote for it.
All right, excellent. Anything else that you would like for our viewers out here for them to know coming up next month in session?
Well, I just have to say things are just better in Cushing. when you drive around. Saw a new house being constructed here. When you drive downtown, you see all the economic activity, how it is markedly enhanced from previous times. So things are better in Cushing. And in closing, sad at the passing of Sean Kelly. Mr. Kelly was a wonderful man.
And we are talking about Sean Kelly, owner, manager of KUSH radio station, who tragically passed Wednesday this week of injuries to a car accident. Just shocking for the community.
A fine man, Mr. Kelly. And it was obvious he was, as I indicated to the group, he was there for the Cushing Christmas parade. We were in the parade. It was cold. It was cold. But there he was up on the platform dedicated to this community, toughing it out. So, and that was just emblematic of Sean Kelly and what he felt about Cushing.
You know, Sean Kelly truly was and will always be the voice of the Cimarron Valley.
Yes, absolutely. And when you listen to him, we'd listen to him in football games and things like this, and you could tell it was his calling in life. It was his calling in life, and so we were blessed to have him the time we had him. Wish we'd had him longer, but we were blessed to have him when we did.
And thoughts and prayers go out to his family and the KUSH family as well, and everyone that knew him loved him.
Yes. Sad day.
Well, Senator Halligan, we'll let you get back to your Friday activities after this legislative luncheon, but it's so good to see you again. I'm Donna Judd. I'm out of here. We're leaving, you and I, right?
There you go.
Oh, and we'll take your lovely wife, Ann, with us, too. All right. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me this week for episode 2 of Donna and Friends. Join me next week for episode 3, because you know what? You just never know who's next.